welcome back to Devils United. First stream with me back since being in sunny America, back at cold, windy Manchester. But today we've got Manchester. Andy with me today, doing a Manchester United versus Arsenal preview, the first game after international break. How are you?
I'm good, and I can be as harsh as I want because Chloe's on holiday. No, I'm yeah, I'm good. I am glad to be doing this tonight. I look forward to it, and as you can probably tell, Maisy's body is in Manchester, but her mind's somewhere across the Atlantic. But hopefully, it'll catch up by the end of the show. That's the thing for jet lag for you, isn't it?
Yeah. So I can see myself here. Chilling in Manchester, driving in my car, but my body and my mindset is like I'm in USA times here. Like I literally feel like I should be just waking up right now. Like I've been up so early this morning with like minimal hours sleep.
Yeah. Well, just like our defence at Chelsea, to be honest, it was that was kind of the problem.
Do you think I could have done a better job with my jet lag?
Well, you've never been to Birmingham, so Skinner wouldn't consider you. That's the thing, you see. So.
Oh yeah, that's very true. Before we do get on, just want to say hey there to Rabbit and hey there to Reese who's in the chat. I hope that you are well. We'll go on to the game because I did end up watching the highlights of the Chelsea game. And I did watch highlights as well for the Japan game for the Lionesses. Yeah. So I have missed a few games. But we'll
It's
start.
your fault we lost then.
I know. I think it was just me not being there. I was missed. But we'll start first. You probably already touched on a bit with Chelsea anyway, with Chloe. But I think it's good to have a bit of a recap, even though we probably don't want to.
Preview on it. No. I mean, we did. It was just Chloe's so damn positive. It's we got sort of moved on to the Lionesses quite quickly. I mean, the thing about Chelsea was, when you look at it, like 3-1 isn't that bad. We'll probably get onto the WSL table in a minute. If you think that our gold medal is third place, currently we're third, 15 points with 6 games played. City are fourth with 12 points with 6 games played. We played the same number of games of Arsenal, and we play them obviously on Saturday. And Chelsea have got a game in hand on us. So Chelsea have played obviously one more game than us, and we've got a game in hand on them. So we're looking really good.
To get the table up.
Yeah, you can do. I mean, we're looking really good, But I think what was just so disappointing about Chelsea, well, there's so many things. It's going to start coming back to me in a second now. But yeah, you can just see as we're discussing. So the table makes you feel better than sort of the way it was leaving the place. Do you know what I mean? So if you look at that, we've got a game in hand on Chelsea. We've got, we're on the same number of games as Arsenal. We'll be playing them at the weekend. We're already ahead of City by 3 points. We're in a good position. You can't argue with that. But the problem is that we just switched off at Chelsea. We let in 2 goals very, very quickly. And Skinner's solution was to take off Russo and put on a 34-year-old. Or as I like to call her, the pound shop Sam Kerr, because she has a vague resemblance to her, and she's nowhere near the quality. But I mean, some of the points, some of the good sort of pointers that come up as well. It was the first time that it was a couple of things actually. It was the first time the terrace was open and it was rocking. It was genuinely rocking on the terrace. Like it was really, really loud, really loud. But I don't know if it's because Sky cameras are a bit more like the Prem. They can turn the audio down. I've heard off a few people didn't hear us on TV. So maybe we weren't as loud as as it felt. And one of the interesting things as well, I don't know if you might have caught this on the highlights, but when Sam Kerr scored, she saluted us. She literally, because we were giving a shit, she went like that, and slid towards us. Which, to be honest, even at the time, like I respect, because that's her treating it like the game we want it to be treated at. That's not her playing games. That's her being a football player. And if one of ours did that, we'd love it as well. But it was quite difficult. And one of my friends I was with, she was like, "Yeah, who knows a lot." Sam Kerr gets fed by an angry crowd. So obviously she got lots of, she was basically stuffed by the end of the game, because we were obviously all giving her stuff and that. But yeah, we lost a lot of confidence. Millie made some big mistakes, which I wouldn't expect her to have made. Four did better, but again made a couple of big errors, and we just didn't look like we were anywhere near the races. And I think a lot of it is psychological.
Agreed. Hey there, it's a couple's thing. I hope you are well. Thanks for coming in. And hey there to just me. I hope you are well. Thanks for coming in. I had a lovely holiday. Thank you very much. And I hope you'll be happy with this. And every time Ravi predicts against us, we win or we draw.
Okay.
So that's Ravi jinxing. But in terms of the game, because the first 60 minutes we was very composed. It was until Chelsea scored, and then they scored again, and then we put one back. I think because I think the game was fairly even until they scored their first goal.
Yeah, it was, but the problem was, and I wasn't getting annoyed at the time, and it was literally in a party of one, like most things, because most people look at me like they disagree. But we were acting like, like in the men's, you might have Wycombe Wanderers who play, I don't know, Fulham in the FA Cup round 3, and they're just parking the bus because they're trying to get an upset, they're trying to get a thing. And, if they get lucky, what dreams are made of, they might get one shot and it goes in and stuff like that. It's almost like we set up like that. That we set up, we set up not to lose against Chelsea, not to win, if that makes sense. And I didn't like how, at one point, I think we felt like we went almost the whole of the first half without a shot on goal. Berger had nothing to do, because we were behind the goal as well. Berger was doing what we've seen Earps do when we were playing lower level teams. She was like running left and right. She was keeping warm. She was, she had nothing to do. And it just kind of felt like we set up like a bit like a Brighton. And we set up like hoping we could nick a goal or get a draw. And our defence just isn't good enough to do that for 90 minutes. I don't think many defences in the WSL are good enough to keep Chelsea at bay without an attacking threat. If you just constantly did attack and defence, do you know what I mean? And I think, I think that it is that psychological barrier that we have against Chelsea. And it was frustrating because we can play better than that, number one. Rather worrying that Honor wasn't played. I get the idea of abundance and caution, but,
it's been out a long time.
Yeah, it's been long.
Not just a concussion.
Yeah, or if it is a concussion, it's a very bad concussion. But then we saw we were there. I think both of us were there. We were there when the hit happened, and you're used to seeing it, and you can see a big hit or you can see a little hit. And that to me I wasn't even sure she was concussed initially. I knew she was because after the game, we saw that she went home actually with Luis Garcia, and Garcia was driving, probably because she's not allowed if she's had a head knock. Do you know what I mean? I think Honor drove in, so somebody noticed that. So I knew there was definitely something there, but it just felt like a no-brainer because of what's going on with Spain. She wasn't going to play in the next 2 weeks. And I would have at least had her on the bench for if the proverbial hits the fan scenario. That was my first question about Chelsea, but also, why didn't we play Tukura? Why is she not there already? And it obviously will go on to Arsenal, I'm sure, but obviously the main meat of the pod. But Arsenal is bizarre. Arsenal are a better team than Chelsea. They're top of the league, but I feel more confident against us beating Arsenal because we've done it before than us playing Chelsea.
And we've actually picked up points. Like, even in the WSL last season, at home,
they
had 2 good goals against us. I actually don't think they were the better side. I actually think in some sparks we played very well, and I think that was up till they lost against Birmingham. That was their worst performance against us. In the WSL, and then at home they got a draw, and I think it was a very lucky draw because there was one player down at the end of the day, and it just seems that Manchester United doesn't know how to control themselves and how to compose themselves when the opposition team is a player down.
Yeah, I just don't understand as well why we've got a 34-year-old in the squad. I really don't. I know I'm really making hay of Chloe not being here now, but like, you know, it's like, you know, taking you off and putting my mother on. Like, I don't really understand what it was achieving because, you know, the game was stretched. You know, I know people are getting tired at that point, but you know, she hasn't got the pace because, you know, that's the issue. And when we're missing Honor as well, who runs down the wings, and now obviously, you know, I was, you know, as you can probably imagine, as people in the comments can probably imagine, I was making my views clear, you know, at the time. But like, we've kind of, Mark Skinner thinks he's done forwards now, so we're going to look at fullbacks, and we need fullbacks.
Yeah, he said he wants them in January.
Yeah, we need fullbacks in January, but we need to replace Rachel Williams specifically, either for this season or next season, because then she'll be 36. Do you see what I mean? So we've kind of got to sweep back, and I don't know whether or not he's just going to forget, to be honest, that I need to replace the 34-year-old that we brought in, and then obviously there was that. I don't know if you saw it. There was that tweet where we're linked to a Reading player. Yippee! You know,
I haven't seen this.
Yeah, we're linked to it. Basically, I mean, the good news is she's 6'1". Like that's great. I'll take, you know, that's almost good enough. She's 6'1", but she's a Belgian midfielder. Now, I have heard of numerous people.
Not Belgium. Oh, this is just how I feel about Belgium. Honestly,
well, you know, I have
that's
heard
how I feel about Belgium. I don't want to show my face. They're such an awful side. Like, they were so lucky to get out of that Euros in second place. They literally parked the bus the entire time. The goalkeeper was outstanding. Don't get me wrong, the defense was great, but they're poor. They're absolutely poor. What do we need that kind of player for at Manchester United? I've been looking at wanting to park the bus more.
Well, the only thing that jumps out at me as a good thing is she's 6'1". Like, that's ridiculous.
We haven't got height, so
she's very, very tall. So, but then I'm thinking, like, again, I only have slight knowledge of men's game, but like, I'm thinking like when Peter Crouch first came on his scene, you know, he was so taller than everybody else. It did give an advantage, but then defenses adapt, and they knew that if he was in the box, that it was a corner. Most likely, they're going to go and he's going to try and head it. And a similar kind of thing you're going to end up with. I have heard, to be fair, I have heard off other people that she is very good, but she plays for Reading. So
I'm more concerned that she's a Belgian player, not that she's from Reading. At least knowing that she's from Reading, she's physical. But knowing that she's from Belgium, you know that she's going to park the bus, and that concerns me. Hey there, Beyond the Horizon, I hope you are well. Hey there to Niall, I hope you are well. And hey there to Liam, I hope you are well. I started the questions anyway. We've already obviously touched on Rachel Williams, poor substitute, of course, to have. But here's what I was thinking is, Vilda Borisa, where's her game time?
Oh, you really...
like, I understand Russo's going to get took off. I understand that because she's been injured a few games. You don't want to throw her into a full 90, especially against Chelsea. Yeah, what I mean, I understand that. And then Martha Thomas, sensible option, because Martha Thomas there, of course, she strikes me as a more narrow striker. I think the way she plays suits the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal a bit better than Russo, because Russo's better when she has space. That's not a bad thing, it's just how the players are. But I look at some players as well. You look at Vilda, she would have done a very, very... I think she would have done a good job, rather than putting Rachel Williams on, and God knows what formation Skinner wanted to do, if that's playing Thomas as a winger or if he's there trying to put two at the top. It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is a problem. As I say, I've just sent you I've sent Maisy, sent you the link as well of the Reading player.
Oh yeah, I've seen her. People were talking about her.
Yeah. She
I didn't know she was a Reading player though.
She is very tall, but that's basically the main selling point. That's the end of that, really. And you know what? Fair play. At the end of the day, Leah Galton's one of the best wingers in the league, and only recently been surpassed by Honor and arguably Garcia. And we found her out of football. So you can find rough diamonds. You can find them. But do I trust Mark Skinner to find them? Not really. That's it. That's the only thing. But yeah, I mean, we set up not to lose that game. That's the problem. And I don't think Skinner sees that as a problem. And I just don't like that mentality. That's the kind of mentality that your perennial 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th team has. Oh, well, we've got to play the top 3. We'll give it our go, but nobody really expects us to win. And, oh, look, we've not won. Oh, well, we'll try again next week. And it's that kind of attitude that I don't want for Man United. And I think I've seen and it's common with actually with Reading, even before they were terrible, they were just kind of middle of the road. And that's kind of a warning from history. This is what happens if you don't push forward, you drop back, almost by accident. And a lot of the time, like Kelly Chambers, the Reading manager, makes me laugh. She looks like a generic PE teacher. So even when she loses, she's quite happy and she sort of smiles. And you also expect to say, oh, the players did well. We had fun. Next lesson. And and I don't want United to turn into that. That's the thing. But I think it's just going to be interesting about what happens at the end of the season. I've heard strong rumors, very strong rumors, off well-placed sources that Russo's nearly out the door, and it's not necessarily about money. And I've also heard that Skinner isn't as good of a man manager as certain people think he is. So there's lots of things we need to work on. But also, if you look at the table, we're in a good position. So it's a difficult one.
I must be honest, though, obviously coming into the season, I wasn't expecting, right, we're gonna be picking up every single point of the season. I wouldn't have expected that. I was expecting us to drop points against Chelsea, because I said if we're gonna drop points, it will be against Chelsea. It was obvious, but you do expect better tactics coming into these teams, and I was said that I wanted Nikita Paris to play against Chelsea's and Arsenal's for the reason of how she produces on the wing, but she's a winger. I think she's more of a winger than a striker for me.
Yeah, and obviously you're circling about what you're saying about Villa Barisa. The thing that worries me about Villa Barisa is very clearly Mark doesn't like her. Now, I don't know about people in the comments, but we've all worked for bosses even, who don't like you. And when a boss doesn't actually like you, there's very little you can do once it gets to that point. And and the thing is with that is, she's going to get frustrated. She's a good player, but she is a confidence player, and she requires people to give her the game time to perform. If she doesn't perform, she doesn't get the game time. But then if she doesn't get the game time, she doesn't perform. So it's a bit of a circular sort of firing squad that goes on a little bit, and that's what the problem is, really. I think Maisy's just picking up something. Oh, she's back.
Back.
You're back. Good. Did you hear anything what I was saying?
I heard it all.
Good. Okay. Cool. But as I was saying, the problem is Villa Barisa is a confidence player. She requires game time to be a good player. If she doesn't get game time if she's a good player. So it's a bit of a cyclical thing. And I was saying we've all worked for bosses who, when they decide they don't like you, it's very, very, very difficult to get out of that position. Arguably, you never do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. When a manager doesn't like you, it is always going to be hard, but under the same breath, when she has played, she hasn't looked like she doesn't deserve not to play.
Yeah, and I'd ask a question as well, just talking as well, thinking about Arsenal this weekend. Obviously, it's the first time we're playing at the Emirates. How do you think that's going to affect the result? Do you think it would be different than if it was at Boreham Wood?
I don't know. I think for me, it's going to be different in terms of the team is going to be playing at different they're going to be playing at a different stadium. It's going to, just like Old Trafford, the Emirates is another place that holds a lot of history. And the Emirates is one of the stadiums where Manchester United has had rivalry there. So it could even spark some fury between the players and make Man United want to work harder to get the 3 points. But I think knowing it's at the Emirates as well, Arsenal's going to want to step up the level, because when they played against when they played in the Emirates last time against Spurs, they was completely dominant. But that's Spurs.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things I'd love to see the stats on, and maybe at some point when you got time, people will be able to notice it. But like, I'd love to know. It feels like every single time we play before an international break, we never win. So the game before an international break, we seem to never win. Now I didn't feel like we were sort of, that Katie Zellen was sitting there working out and she's packed a fake tan, and Ella Toone was thinking about not forgetting her boots again. I didn't think it was like that. This time, I think Chelsea, as I said, we set up wrong and we were acting like a very baby club that wants to get out of there without being embarrassed, even though it was our own stadium. But again, the first game after an international break, sometimes we've been a bit wobbly as well. And obviously, tomorrow we are playing Norway in Spain. Now, we didn't really discuss it much on our previous pod, but what we did say is that you don't really have to be Mr. Motivator to motivate the Norwegian players. They got embarrassed in summer. They got embarrassed. Ada Hedenberg looked like, she was a tier 6 player when she was playing.
Katterberg.
Yeah, she played terribly.
That's a nickname, Katterberg.
It was like, it was ridiculous. And they looked awful. It cost the guy his job. I got this new coach in. You don't have to. You don't have to be a man motivator. You can sit there and go, right, okay. Remember how crap it felt in summer? Well, this is the time for you to sort of, take them on and to get, put that ghost away. Vilda could start. You never know. Ford could start because she knows a lot about England. So it's going to be a tough game. And then, we fly back, and then the United girls are straight into Arsenal on a Saturday. Remember as well, so even less time.
Saturday late kickoff.
So I have got my heart in my mouth. And another consideration I have with Arsenal that I'm worried about is I don't understand what Leon has done, Adriana Leon has done to upset Skinner, because she's on fire for Canada. And again, she doesn't seem to be getting the game time.
It seems she's been not used ever since she scored.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is quite strange, because she's a Skinner signing, so you could understand it in terms of players like Bo Reese are not playing. You could argue, is that a Skinner? That's not a Skinner signing. It's not suited to Skinner. But you look at the likes of Adriana Leon, she's not being used, and she's getting less minutes than Rachel Williams.
It's interesting with God, why? I mean, it's interesting with Leon because obviously all of our players love the fans. They love us getting behind them, and and it's very unique in the women's game. And even Sam Kerr loves the fact that we sledge her, as the Aussies would say. We give her what she wants. But the weird thing about Leon, and a few people have noticed, I wouldn't say who, but a few people have noticed this the last couple of games. Like, we've been doing a very, 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 very cringy chant on Leon. That's based on "Hey Mickey, you're so fine." Trust me, it's very, very cheesy. And I don't think she seems a bit scared of us, like of her own fans. Like, she doesn't seem to, we're shouting her name and after the game and stuff like that. She seems a little bit like a deer in the headlights. So there's a lot of things going on. And I just had an awful thought as we were discussing more openly about Skinner, because Polly Bancroft has just come in. And again, there was a tweet recently which shows you a hell of a long list of people that are out of contract at the end of the year. I wouldn't be surprised if Skinner gets his extension. So he's a 2-year +1, and this is his second year. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets his extension to allow Polly time to reassess the club, what she wants to do, and make a decision next season on Skinner. Because she's got a busy period, to deal with. I mean, if I said to you, I won't give it a game away now, but these are some of the people that are out of contract next season. In summer. Alicia Rousseau, as you know, Honor, as you know, but also Mary Earps,
Hayley Ladd, Jade Moore.
Jade, well, yeah.
Yeah,
Jade
but he's a good backup.
Yeah, no, she is. She is. But I'm not going to lose sleep, is what I'm saying.
No, I
But,
wouldn't lose sleep either.
but
We've lost both our goalkeepers. Sophie Bagley's out of a contract.
Sophie Bagley's again.
No, she's not a miss, but if we've lost both goalkeepers, we've got Emily Ramsey left.
Yeah, I know. And to be fair, with Rambo, to be fair, it's so difficult because I'm just still I can't be objective on Bagley because I'm still scarred about that long drive I did to Chelsea, a Conti Cup semi-final last year, looking at her staring at the hell harder. It's burned into the back of my retina, and but she's not going to grow. That's her. So I need to either get on board the Bagley train or get off the Bagley train. And I personally think that there's too big of a drop off between the two keepers. Rambo, is she the answer? I don't really know. I don't watch Everton. I didn't really watch Birmingham last year. But I do know.
The question is, though, why does she keep getting loaned out?
Yeah, I do know that she is the under-19s captain for England today. So she's got something there that they like. Is she the answer? I don't know. I don't think so, ultimately. But I also think there's possibly a little bit of, we haven't had a player yet who's come from our academy only, as in not been to another club for a while, like Tooney went to City for a short period and that kind of thing, and become a first-team player and stayed a first-team player. And that's only because, obviously, we started in 2018. We sort of, I think Rich Laverty said that or Rich, is one of the journalists said, we've kind of surprised United a little bit. Nobody expected us to be solidly top 4, pushing top 3 this quickly, which is great. But that's kind of why the infrastructure needs to catch up, and that's kind of why Polly Bancroft's been brought in and all this kind of stuff. But I think, but I think they're kind of using her as an example to the academy players, saying, look, if you stick at it, you can be a Man United first-team player, because at the minute, no academy player has gone from academy to first-team starter. Now, I appreciate it's a bit unlikely at the moment because there's such a big gap. There's no under-23s, and it might happen in a couple of years. But I think one of the reasons they're keeping Rambo around is to motivate people like Sophia Middleton-Patel, who's a brilliant keeper, actually. She's already in and around the Welsh squad at a very young age. She only just aged into her academy players. But then am I being a hypocrite? Because I think, don't quote me on this, but I think she's Bagley's height, and she's not going to grow anymore. So, it's a difficult one, really.
Yeah, I think for me, it's not necessarily about the height, because look at Mary, for instance. Is she a tall goalkeeper? She's not. She's 5'6".
She feels
the way she plays,
psychologically, it feels like she's tall. But
the way she plays, you would not think she was 5'6".
No.
You would think she was getting on 6 foot herself with the reaches, and I think the qualities of Mary Earps is you don't see that in a lot of other goalkeepers. Like, you look at, I know Ravi asked a question there about Arsenal's goalkeeper, which I'll touch on very slightly. You look at, is it Zin, what you call Zinsberg?
Our keeper is what I call her from last season. I remember that.
Yeah,
Zinsberger.
You know what, Zinsberger? Zinsberger, like, she's got the height, but has she got anything else?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Height's not everything.
It's not. And it isn't. I agree with that. But then I think of one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I didn't see her in summer because she's chilly. Is Lyon's goalkeeper, who's 6'1". I know that's a big. That's a kind of like exception in the women's game, but it does help. You do see it when there's a penalty.
Does it help though, having a tall centre back in front of you, Wendy Renard?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it does. And again, I don't really know where we've got the height in defence. And as I said, the Reading midfielder we're linked to is midfield. It's the one that Skinner likes to sort of recruit for, it seems. Everybody's a midfielder. But it's a good point, to be honest. It's a good point.
Mm-hmm. Hey there as well, Rushmore Sparkle. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. We'll go quickly on to the Arsenal game as well.
Yeah.
I'll start off first with a quote what Serena has used in regards to Laetitia, is that she's seen Laetitia for a week, 2 weeks, and already identified 3 different positions she could play in.
Yeah, I think first of all, you could say without being too bitchy, that's the difference between Serena Weigman and Mark Skinner, number one.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, number two though, and the interesting thing about Matt Letizia, and you're right, I totally forgot about this. She was the best player for United on the park against Chelsea. Like she was doing last second tackles, sliding tackles. That if you mistime it, it's a penalty. End of conversation. And we'll leave the ref there because we're on to Arsenal. But essentially, she was running a proverbial off, left and right. And I think what's really important and really impressive that she really has forced herself into the England squad. What do I mean by that? Well, do you remember the previous games against US at the last international window, USA against
USA, and then we played Czech Republic.
Yeah, she was left out by Weigman because I think she said it's great that she scored, but there's better defenders in front of her. Now, a couple of things that would sometimes demotivate a player. Previously, you would say, right, okay, and I'll be honest, I'm surprised, that Serena's seen the light so quickly. I think it's obvious because I think the light's so bright, she's going to blind it. It's so obvious that she's one of the top players in the WSL now. But it just shows how much Maya has played her way into the England team, as much as the fact that Serena's noticed her. And it shows a level of resilience as well. That, she's never played for the senior team. She's never been called up before. And she plays like a player, unlike Steph Horton, who's living in La La Land, that she's gonna get picked up again. Trust me, love, it ain't gonna happen. She's done. The closest she's going to get to an England match is like, when she goes to Aldi, she might see her face on the window. That's literally as close she's going to get to an England squad ever again. But, Maya has acted and played like a player where she knew her time would come. And I think with a few injuries knocking around as well. And
I was going to ask that about the question about the injuries.
Play against Norway, I think.
Yeah, because there was a few injuries, of course, of Leah Williamson. Demi Stokes is being left out. Jess Carter is nowhere there to be seen as well.
Yeah.
Lucy Bronze, I think she's left now. The camp.
Yeah, I mean, well, I don't know. She was tested positive for COVID and tested negative, so I don't know if she's gone or not.
I've heard that she's gone. I don't know, but that obviously brought in Niamh Charles into the squad, which she wouldn't have brought into the squad otherwise.
I mean, the interesting one as well is Beth Mead as well, because that links both games together, the England game tomorrow and obviously the game we're discussing on Saturday. As much as I'm a United fan, she's brilliant. And obviously I'd take her in a heartbeat. But obviously it seems like that she might be going through a lot of some family issues at the moment, which probably won't be resolved by Saturday. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not Arsenal will play her or she'll be absent on Saturday. It should be a big loss for Arsenal if she is. And obviously, get well soon to, well, I hope her mum is okay. And I think that's going to be an interesting one as well, both for England and for Arsenal. But I definitely think, because after Arsenal, we've got Villa at Old Trafford.
Then we've got City away.
We really could do with, if we don't get a result against Arsenal, apart from that, I'm going to get grumpy because I need to get up at the crack of dawn. I'm on a bus for 6 hours and I'm with Chloe. So 10 seconds later, she'll be like, why are you being negative? At the end of the game, if we lose, and then somebody else will tell me to shut up as well because it was all right or something like that. If we don't get the result on Saturday, then they're going to have those conversations about Old Trafford, and then and the next time we play City, we're going to beat City, and then if we don't beat City, we're going to play like we were last season, and we're a team that doesn't play against the top four very well. So I think it's important that we do win on Saturday if we can, or at least not lose, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Hey there, Rich. I hope you're well. Who's the favourite for this one? Probably Arsenal, knowing the top of the league, but I think we can still give a good shot.
Yeah, as I say, lots of variables. Possibly no Beth Mead. I don't know about the rest of their squad. People are coming back from international break. It depends what the situation is. It's going to be at the Emirates, so they're going to be lifted quite a lot. It'll be very, very full. But then we're going to be in an official away end, so we're going to be quite noisy as well. So, there's a way it could work. I think.
Mm-hmm. Hey there to Lansel. Lansel is going on the 19th of November, so it'd be good for you there at the Emirates. If we go unbeaten against City, Arsenal, win all our games, we should get top three without a doubt.
Yeah,
Because then there'd be only 6 points dropped, and we should easily get third at least, just depending on what's happened with Arsenal and Chelsea and City, even in that season. And hey there to Paul. I hope you are well. I will answer all the questions as well a little bit
you
later on.
will.
I have
Yeah,
starred them.
we'll do a rapid fire.
Yeah.
Just a thinking, by the way, because I know Chloe is on holiday, and she will watch this, so I'm not like thinking about it. And I'm glad that she makes me more positive, because sometimes you can go down a rabbit hole, especially if you've gone a long day, like a long trip and stuff like that. But it is very difficult to pick yourself up when you lose a defeat and you're there physically. When it's a long trip. It's a long trip back. It's the reason why it's a turn of phrase that commentators say when they lose away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. You don't want to lose no matter what, but to travel all that time as well, in particular, it's not nice to go. I've done a starting 11, in my opinion. Obviously, you may have a different
Yeah,
one. So here's my starting 11 that I had. Yeah, hopefully you can see it now.
yeah,
Mary Earps in goal. Honor, I think, will be back. She looks like she is looking well from her Instagram, so fingers crossed that's the case. Letitia as the centre back alongside Millie Turner. Hannah Blundell on the left. Zellerman Lad in the pivot. Galton on the left. Garcia on the right. I think she probably will be back, especially though she's had no international break.
mm.
Tooney in the middle and Russo up front.
Yeah. It's a very it's funny actually, because it is obviously our strongest team, and I possibly could suggest some alternatives, and I will do in a second. But isn't it weird how we're a much deeper squad than last season, but our first team still writes itself? And if you can do that on a Monday, do you think Jonas and Val can do that as well? And they can practice all week against Earps, Blundell, Turner, Letitia, Badger, Zellum Lad, Golson, Tooney, Garcia, Russo. How did that happen again? How have we ended up with a situation where we've only got one? Do you know what I mean? That's just an interesting thought process, maybe a question for the comments. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I suppose I agree with that. I think that's a strong one, because I think we need the pace. I suppose what you could have is you could put Paris in for Galton, because that's been quite common.
Paris
And
for Garcia, Lanza said as well.
you lose a lot, though. Garcia was leading our attack last game she played. Everyone forgets, because she was injured against Chelsea. And you could possibly have Galton coming on or Leon coming on. Maybe we found it. Maybe I'll ask you a question, Maisie. It's been being a host too long now. 2 weeks, I got all the itch back. But we've just discussed about how Skinner's not playing Leon, but neither are you in this starting 11. So where's that thought process come from? Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I think there's nothing against Leon. I just think for me, I think she's better as a substitute option at this moment in time, and I think we need when you are playing the likes of Arsenal, you want to play your best. You
Yeah,
want and to beat the best, you want to be the best. Is Leon our best forward player? No. Is she our
no,
best winger? No. Is Nikita Paris the same for both? No. Yeah, and the only way they will get into that starting 11 is if a couple of them were injured. Not we know Paris is definitely the backup for either Garcia or Russo,
yeah.
but I think it'd take several injuries for Leon to start in the WSL game.
Yeah, and it's weird because she doesn't feel like a backup as a lot of the time. The look and feel of the player is of a starter. But I agree, and I'm just saying it's an interesting thought experiment, isn't it? Because we've both been saying, "Why did Leon play? Why didn't Leon play?" And we both discussed our 11s, then, and we've not put Leon in. So it's interesting, like how it is, and obviously Villa Berarisa, and to be honest, I don't want to get myself into trouble here too much, because I do like her. But what does Lad bring in that position that, say, Villa Berarisa doesn't? I mean, I might be looking at it as an attacking problem.
Well, I think this is probably a wrong formation to look at it, but when Hayley Ladd plays,
Yeah.
she plays more down here.
Right.
She's basically, in my opinion, that extra centre back who's in front of Turner and Laetitia. That allows Zellum to go a little bit more forward as a box to box midfielder, allows Tooney a lot more space around, gives Honor, it gives Hannah Blundell that chance to move that a little bit more forward as well, if they wanted to. So I think for me, when you play a defensive midfielder, it's just that little bit extra security. And I think when you do play the likes of Arsenal, you play the likes of Chelsea, you need that extra defense there to help you out, and it just brings a lot more creative flow, in my opinion. Because you look when Hayley Ladd plays compared to when she hasn't played, for instance. I don't think you've seen the best out of Tuna when she doesn't play. I don't think you see the best out of our fullbacks when she doesn't play, because it allows other players to be more creative minded.
Yeah, you're listening, Mark, because I think that's perfect. I think that's it explained really, really well.
And yeah, I've messed up my formation.
It's all right. No, it's true. No, I was learning. I was learning, to be honest. I was learning. I was, I can see her sort of on the sideline there, sort of, like Hope Powell with a stupid little board, and she whips it out, before she got sacked by Brighton.
Yeah.
So
that's how the formation will start. It'll start with obviously 4-2-3, 4-2-3-1.
What's your view on 4? Because she's been really good in some points in the last 2 games, and she's been 4 and then some bits of the last 2 games as well.
I like that.
But then Turner made a very bad mistake, which let the first goal in. So would you put 4 in for Millie at the point of being
no
disinherited? I'm posing the question.
No, I think for me, even though Far has had a couple of games, she has played out of position, but I still think she's lacking confidence.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at the partnership, what Laetitia and Turner has. For me, I think there's parts where Turner's been brilliant, but there's parts for me where she's lacked ball watching, and that's what's let her down. But I've always said, why break a defensive partnership? What doesn't need to be broken? Because you look at teams who's won the league, so if you take them fullbacks away,
I'm really loving this, by the way.
Yeah.
You're moving it around. I'm actually really enjoying this.
You look, if you move these up here, they're attacking. Honor and Blundell are attacking up the pitch. You look at Earps, Turner, Laetitia, they're in that triangle, and if you look at the best teams in the WSL, you look at Williamson, Lotte, Zinsberger, you look at Berger, Bright, and whoever else plays for the centre backs. They've got a lot of people. But if you look at them in particular, they've got a strong... The centre backs have got a strong connection with the goalkeeper. And that, for me, helps you win leagues. Because you don't want to break that.
Yeah, and it builds that confidence, doesn't it? And it builds that scenario. I think it's interesting because say we get a fullback in winter, winter, obviously January. How's that going to affect Hannah Blundell? Because she's a confidence player as well, and she's the obvious player that would be at risk. Unless we get a top class, currently playing for the Champions League level. I don't see any other player at risk. And then how are you going to choose that partnership? And I think one of the start questions we had was about Tukura, wasn't it?
We've had we've had a few questions about Tunkara. One from Lanzel about her not being seen, and another one from Reese about a lack of minutes as well. So I think that would be good to touch on too.
I don't understand what's going on there personally, because she's a French international. She played at the Euros. I know English is not her first language, and I don't know what her level of English is. I know her interview she did was dubbed. We'll say it was, she spoke French and someone translated, if you know what I mean. But then I know that obviously Garcia's learning English as well, and obviously in the men's game you get lots of non-English players. Is it as simple that her language skills need to get up a bit so she can shout and talk to the rest of her team, or is it more complicated than that? does she have to go to Birmingham and learn Brummie? I mean, what's going on with Skinner? It's just I don't understand it because it's not like I know she's not a starter as such, but she does play for France national team. So I'm just wondering what your view on it is as well.
I think it's a bit of a weird one. They are saying it's the language barrier, but for me, I look at it and think, is there some as Tunkara not found anyone she can really gel with in that centre back position? Like, because Skinner's gonna know better than us in training of what's going on, who suits who, and that's probably why he's put Turner and Letizia together, because he thinks at this moment in time that's the strongest two together. You look at the language barriers in the men's side. Berbatov, he didn't speak too much English when he came to the league, and he had chemistry on the pitch. You look at the likes of Valencia. Even now, he doesn't know a word of English.
Right.
And he was in Manchester United for a very long time. He still can't speak it. Anthony Martial's only just started learning English.
Yeah, I think the way they get around it. I think the way they get around it is they have we joke, don't they, about like I mean for the men's people like it's Holland, with obviously the Dutch players, but I think with obviously we've got Garcia and we've got Bajé, and I think it makes a big difference having someone that can either translate for Garcia in training, or obviously she can chat to in her own language. The problem is we haven't got any other French players at the moment. So, and I don't know if anybody else speaks French. And I'm sure, obviously, there will be somebody at Man United. I know they have a department with people that get.
But didn't Tunkara come from Atletico Madrid? So surely she know a little bit of Spanish from Honor and Garcia. So maybe that's where she's translating from.
Possibly. I mean, it probably is more a language barrier, but I suppose it is probably less than a language barrier. But to take the second part of Reese's question there, I haven't seen her enough to tell you her style. I wasn't paying enough attention when I was watching France because it was Euros.
And Villa.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. I kind of forgotten about Villa.
But if it was obviously to play Tunkara, the question is, who's going to get dropped?
Not Letizia, obviously.
Not Letizia, but if Honor was still apparently out, that means Far's going to be there.
Yeah.
And then if
Honor Bajé is still out, we need to fire our physios, literally out of a cannon, preferably. Like it would be. But I know what you mean. As a thought experiment, let's say if she's out or picks up something else in training, which is another thing that seems to happen a lot. Well, actually, one of the ones you want to say, because Garcia had a hamstring, I think, or some sort of injury against Chelsea. So I don't know if she's out, she might be out more realistically.
I must be honest, though. As much as Tunkara hasn't had many minutes, I don't think it's wise to throw her in for Arsenal. I just wanted to mention that just in case people think she hasn't had minutes, she should really play against Arsenal. I think it's a very daft decision, in my opinion, if he wants to do that.
Villa, you could play her against. You've got another Conti game against Everton that nobody's going to care about because they're pretty much out of it.
Everton, and we've got Sheffield United.
Exactly, yeah.
They've got plenty of opportunities to play from now till the winter break, and Lansel has mentioned about contracts. That could be a reason why, but looking at it, I don't think Turner or Letizia is up for
No.
Letizia is definitely not up. Turner, I think she's signed till 24, isn't she?
Not either that or she's next year. Like I don't know because we wouldn't have signed.
I don't think it is renewing yet.
Yeah, the thing that worries me about the contract renewal, and maybe this is because I'm a bit negative and for people to realize sometimes, but Tooney was already tied down the longest out of everybody in the squad. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm glad the girl's got some dollar after a performance at the Euros. She's obviously had it restructured. They've had an extra year. She's probably on more per annum now than she was last time. And it's fantastic news for us as a club and for United fans. What I'm worried about, and I know other people are as well, because a good friend of mine said inside voice when I said this, which is translation for don't jinx it. I worry that big, oh, look, we've renewed Tooney is being used to cover the fact we're going to lose insert really big player here, Honor or Russo or something along those lines.
It makes me wonder. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Could the Garcia signing be potentially to keep on her, just so she's got that extra person there? Because don't forget, Honor was the only Spanish person in the squad before Garcia came.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I would have been interested on Chloe's view on this, but she obviously because she's the closest Spanish expert that we've got. But I know she doesn't agree with me on this. But again, making hay. But like, we're in a weird situation. Honor's what, 23?
Yeah, 22, 23 Honor.
23, yeah. Garcia's younger than that.
I think she's a little bit older.
Is she?
Honor is. Oh, I'm getting the ages up. Honor is 20. Honor's 23. Yeah. Garcia is 24, so she's a little bit older.
Oh, in my head, it was around. Okay, that's interesting. But like, we're in a really weird scenario now, which is not really, as far as my knowledge, is it happened in the men's game, never mind the women's, where the Spanish team are behind Wilde for a long, long time. I think his dad's on the board or something on those lines.
Yeah.
The vast amount of Spanish players are not going to play for the national team in the World Cup or for any national break going soon. If she keeps herself healthy and fit and with modern training methods and the way the women's game's going, she could easily play another 10 years on it, for example. At least that'll take her to 33. Hell, look at Rachel Williams. Do you know what I mean? It'll take her to 33. It's an interesting idea because you might say she's obviously born and raised Barca. She's Catalan. You know, would she want to have gone to Barca and then cemented a place at Barca and always become almost maybe the next captain of the Spanish national team or something like that? I think it does make it a different. I don't know. It's just a gut feeling that it feels a bit different that the Spanish Federation, for want of a better word, hates her and the rest of the top class players because of what's going on with Wilde. So I wouldn't. I'd want to stay abroad a little bit longer to stay out of their like purview, their sort of their radar. Stay away from them a little bit, at least until Wilde falls on his arse in summer, which he probably will do if it carries on the way it is. Because so I would say we have a fighting chance at the minute, and I remember Skinner said that that Honor's one of the 4 leaders in his team, and that basically he didn't sort of say it like this, but reading between the lines, that's kind of all we can offer. That's our offer. Well, you can stay at United and be a leader at a team, which is rare for a 24-year-old. And I think that's our main offer. Stay here and you can become maybe a vice captain, eventually a captain.
The thing is, though, Zellum signed, what is it, till 25 or something?
I try and forget, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like 24, 25. She signed a new deal. Yeah. And what I say is, if a captain's done nothing wrong realistically, should they have the captain's armband took off him? Because apart from it, I know Zellum isn't the best player in the world. We all know that. But the thing is, as a captain, she hasn't done much wrong for me to say she should get that armband stripped off her.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. I'm just saying that seems to be the pitch that Skinner's doing. You'd be part of our top 4 leadership team at the age of 24. You've got the ear of the manager. You're a senior player at the age of 24. Again, quite rare. I think if we get Champions League, or at least if it looks like we're getting Champions League from sort of February onwards, she might sign again, but it could be just wishful thinking. But definitely, if she feels comfortable in England, if she feels, which I think she does from what I've seen, she's obviously got Garcia. She's friends with Vicky Losada, the City player, I think. So hopefully, I think there's a more chance, but I couldn't tell you because I'm too biased. I'd love her to stay. I mean, what do you think? Do you think she's likely to go to Barca, or do you think she would stay?
I think, you know what? I think if Barcelona never signed Lucy Bronze, because for me, Lucy Bronze is one of the best fullbacks in the world. There's no argument about that. She is. And if they keep her 2 seasons, for instance, they're not going to use Honor next season. As much as we always say Honor's the best in the world, they've still got Lucy Bronze who can play in that position as well. And whilst Lucy Bronze has already adapted to that team by a year, Honor's going to be on the bench adapting to his the manager's tactics. Yeah. So I think it would be a more sensible reason to say, right on, we've got Lucy. We'll come in. It's we'll come into you next season, or we'll come in for you in 2 years' time, and then that will give us that little bit more time to get Champions League and say, right on, look, we're competing here with the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, PSG, Leon, and we want to do it with you. And I think Lucy Bronze coming to Barcelona was actually a more better option for us.
Yeah, I think so, and I think Luis Garcia is an interesting one as well because they are very good friends. And I think that says a lot when they're abroad. I know one of our mutual people friends that we know, I think was on his Instagram for a Catalan holiday. She got like a little rose and like a Catalan book, to which Honor actually posts on her Instagram. That's little things like this, being away from home, recognizing a holiday that obviously is a big deal in Spain, but if we wouldn't know what the heck it is over here. I mean, we've done everything we can to make her happy, apart from get Champions League. So again, it goes back to, I suppose, what we were saying at the beginning of the pod, isn't it? About this is the thing up to Christmas. If we can beat Arsenal, Chelsea, and City at least once as a home or away, but we can get one win or one draw off each team this season, we're most likely going to get Champions League.
I don't think we'll pick up a point now against Chelsea. I think home was the best shot.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be later in the year. Emma Hayes is back. I was joking, you weren't there, but I was joking before the game that because we were late with the team. The team news only comes out an hour before the match kicks off, and we were late. As United was about 5-10 minutes late. So I was saying to someone next to me that I reckon Skinner's like locked in the toilet, and Martin Ho's going, "Don't worry, Mark. She's not here. We've been through this. She's not here tonight. Emma Hayes isn't here tonight." And he's like, "Oh, is that the case? I don't want to see her." Because I think Emma Hayes just out-psyched Mark as soon as he walked through the door. So I don't know. I'll be worried to see what happens at the end of the year, but hopefully we'll have a better idea what's going to go on by then as well. I don't know when we play them again. Is it April, something along those lines?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We'll go with the questions anyway. I know we've been chatting for an hour and stuff. So.
It's good. It's good. I'm fine.
I've done my little tactics board, so
I was learning. I was in the squad then. Go on.
We'll go with Ravi's question. Who, apart from Beth Mead, is a threat for Arsenal that United need to watch out for? I think one advantage is Leah Williamson is out.
I think that's still out as well.
Yes, that's one advantage. I think probably if you look at threats, I'd probably say Miedemar and Blackstenius.
Yeah.
I don't know how much you've actually watched of Arsenal this season, but I'm a bit confused why they signed Hurting.
Yeah, is that the Swedish player that he doesn't?
Yeah, the Swedish player who's friends with Blackstenius.
Yeah, maybe
they barely used her. She's getting used how Sweden played her.
Maybe she's Blackstenius' emotional support animal. Maybe that's the whole point, just to make her feel better in London. I don't know.
It's just so confusing because I'm sure she was at Juventus and she was the top goal scorer and she won the league and everything, and she's coming to Arsenal to be a bench warmer with hardly any minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking now at what we got. So, some defenders I've forgotten about. People like Lotta Women Boy still with the Lionesses. Jen Beattie as well is in the squad. And then midfielders Jordan Nobbs. I can never keep up. Is St. Jordan Nobbs injured at the minute or not? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no clue.
A Japanese
Nobbs doesn't scare me.
A Japanese player, Mana Iwabuchi. I don't know if she played when we beat Japan 4-0. Oh, yeah.
And there's supposed to be issues with her.
Talking about issues, Katie McCabe, forward, guaranteed yellow card. She's like Stanway on steroids. So that's going to be an interesting one because she's very physical player. Obviously, Beth Mead and Mino, we discussed. Caitlin Ford is another big threat, to be fair. The Australian as well. So I think, unfortunately, if you want to look at the whole spine, we've talked about Zinsberger being keeper. Defenders, the obvious one is obviously Lotta Rumen Boy with the Lionesses at the minute. Midfielders, you got
Isn't she only a bench warmer though for Arsenal?
I'm not too sure.
I don't think. I'm sure they have like a centre back called Raphael or Rochelle. Or, I can't remember her name.
Noel Martez, Swiss.
I don't. I don't even know who.
Oh yeah. Well remembered, Rafael Souza, Brazilian, number 2.
Yeah, her. They've got her, and let's be honest, is Ruben Moy their best centre back when they've got both Williamson and whatever Rochelle, whatever she's called, fully fit.
Yeah, I mean that's I think Lanzel's saying apparently Nobbs is injured. I can never keep up.
Yeah, Raphael, that's her. She's the one who scored the header against Spurs.
Yeah, there's the squad list anyway, but that's what I was looking at. But yeah, you well remember the Brazilian. Obviously, we'll see her again at Wembley in April as well.
Yeah, that's exactly who I was talking about. I can't even find her now.
Number 2, she's at the top left.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, she's the one I was thinking about on the and she only signed actually in January.
Right. Okay. That's interesting.
We'll go to the next question where I can find them. Ravi, what's wrong with Belgian players?
Now, this is Maisy clearly because I didn't particularly. I mean,
yeah. I don't. The thing is, right? Belgium are poor. They're poor. Like Iceland got robbed out of getting into knockout stages. Yeah. And Andy would agree with that. Like they were the only team in Euro history to be unbeaten and not qualify. And you've got the likes of Belgium, who's part of the whole bus the entire games, get a scrappy goal, and then go, "Oh, look at me, I'm in the knockouts now."
I don't know if it's because I've got this prop here, but Belgium is like a Twix, right? It's chocolate. Sometimes we all crave chocolate, but nobody really wakes up one day and goes, "I really want a Twix right now." It's just a random chocolate that you occasionally eat, right? Belgium is maybe I saw them too many times at the Euros. The word that comes to mind is boring. Is my main thing. Now, obviously, their keeper was very strong and did a great job. But how much of that was the fact they were all amazed that she wasn't a pro? She was semi-pro, and put up bouncy castles for a living, literally. But I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot. There's a lot of people that I respect a lot that tell me that she's actually a really good player and would be a great signing for Man United. But I still don't like we're looking at Reading. I don't like we're looking for players that low down. I think we need to be getting players from, the top 4 teams, whether at this league or anybody else. I don't see that really.
Yeah, and Belgium are very inconsistent. They won 7-0 against Slovakia.
Yeah.
Then they lost 2-1 against Portugal. And you know how poor Portugal is. Let's be real, Portugal are crap. Come on, the worst.
You got a better offer from Iceland, didn't you? You were sort of caught in both of them at the same time in the Euros.
I was getting. I've been flirted by several international teams. But Belgium are Portugal are very poor defensively and set pieces. The corners, they're awful. And for them to get a win against Belgium,
what you really think, by the way.
Yeah. Then
we're both taking advantage of the fact that we would have a Chloe that's like neutral, that's like sort of saying, "Oh, you're being too harsh."
True. Then they've won against Armenia 7-0 and then lost against Norway 1-0.
Yeah.
That's the inconsistency of them. They win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. It's just very inconsistent.
Yeah, I mean, I think again, it's interesting because again, I've actually just got the Portugal stickers actually from filled my book finally 6 months later. But I think possibly as an international team, they struggle because the majority of their players play domestically. And we discussed in the last pod, we were talking more about England when it was me and Chloe, that I've got to worry for the Nations League, for the that's coming in for the women's from next season. Because as far as I'm aware, it's going to be slightly different than the men's, where literally they will not play anybody who isn't European outside of a tournament. And that's going to be awkward, because apparently the places in the league are going to link to the World Cup as well as the Olympics as well as the Euros. So we're going to be at a bit, well, it's going to be a swing and roundabouts. We're going to benefit from the fact we're not going to be playing, Latvia and whopping them 20-0, which is equivalent of playing FIFA on amateur. Like, there's no, like, it doesn't help anybody apart from make you feel good if you had a bad day. You know what I mean? But also we're going to lose the ability to react and have exposure to different styles, to African styles of play, Asian styles of play, North American styles of play, South American styles of play. And it's, and maybe some of those teams that are more homogenous, like Portugal, have majority of players that play in Portugal. One of the reasons they struggled is because they haven't got the players that are in the WSL and used to as WSL team. They're in the Bundesliga. Do you know what I mean? In that respect, and that might help them develop as a squad.
Mm-hmm. Hey there, Martin. I hope you're well. Thank you for coming in. To think, like Lanzo said, we need some Germans in our squad. Like, I know Pop's great and all that, but I don't want to be too nice about. I don't like being nice about the Germans, because we're better than the Germans, right? We're the ones who beat them, right?
I think Skinner would be scared. I think Skinner would be scared of the majority of the German team.
I actually think
I think like if it's raining and he goes, right, okay, do laps, she'll just go.
Oh,
and then he'll run away.
She's good.
Yeah. I was going to say, Reece is not going to be a friend anymore. He's a massive German fan as well. So
yeah, but Reece knows the slag off Germany, so it's fine. But aren't we linked to an Iceland player, or want to be linked to an Iceland player?
I think that's your dreams, dear, is what you called that. I don't know who we're linked to at the minute. Maybe. All I've heard is
I feel like I've heard it. I feel like I've heard it somewhere.
You'll be looking now. Are there any German players in the Arsenal team? No, is the answer. The closest you've got is Austrians with Laura Weinroth. I don't want to butcher that name. Defender, number 26. And Zinsberger, as we discussed as well. But no, actually, I haven't actually got any Germans in their league. I mean, obviously, if you're looking for January, you're looking at leagues that are finished. You'll be looking at the NWSL, and you'll be looking at the Swedish league as well, and the sort of Scandinavian leagues that'll be in the off season.
Yeah, Oh yeah. I hope Reece is feeling okay, by the way, because Germany lost yesterday against USA. My condolences about Germany. Germany in the mud. They came in the mud against the England in the Euros. Now they're in the mud against the World Cup, the world champions. So it's tough being a Germany fan, I guess. But I'm literally looking. It is going to be me being unbiased about Germany, and I don't like being unbiased.
I don't know which Icelandic guys got you interested in Iceland, because like you would miss Portugal for so long.
I know I was, but I look at it. There's a couple of good Germany players. Brand is one who I don't mind watching. Pop is another one.
Yeah, Pop's good. Pop's very good.
Their
goalkeeper's bloody good as well.
Burger.
No, that wasn't goalkeeper at the Euros, though, wasn't she? She wasn't at the Euros. Not their number one goalkeeper.
Do you know who? I don't know if she plays as a fullback for Germany. Who Landl has asked about fullbacks. Is it Ronch? Is she a fullback? I feel like Ronch is a fullback.
I'm bringing up the squad. I can German.
I'm sure she's a fullback and she plays for Wolfsburg. I mean, she plays as a fullback. I'm right. She plays as a fullback.
I mean, it's interesting that we spoke about the squad. I'm just summing up. I forgot what I was saying. I'm just looking at bringing up the German squad from the.
Man United signed this player. She's from Iceland.
Yeah. So at the Euros, Oh, was it Frooms? Frums.
Frums.
Yeah.
It's spelled Rauch. She's only 26, so she's in a prime.
All right.
She can play as a midfielder, fullback, and a winger. She's had as a fullback, she's had 29 appearances for Germany, scored 4 goals. That's not particularly bad. She plays for Wolfsburg, who's one of the best teams in Germany at this moment in time as well. Her last goal, actually, she scored recently against Turkey.
Well, that's what I was saying. Actually, remember that. That's what I was saying. Mary, you know what? Do you know why Mary wears number 27? I might have told you. I can't remember.
I don't remember. You may have told me, you may not.
She wears number 27 because that was her number when she was on the bench for Wolfsburg. And it was a number that she wore when she won Champions League as part of the wider squad, or she played the Champions League with a wider squad. And she what's it called? She credits her time in Germany to be for the reason why she's as good of a player as she is now. And she loves Germany and she loved playing for Wolfsburg. So that's quite interesting. I think that that she holds them in such high regard that she picked when she came to United. She picked number 27 because that was her number from when she was at Wolfsburg and she was a number 2 keeper.
Mm-hmm. And that's that little bit of connection there for Manchester United, Mary, as well. So, I'm just seeing if there's any more good questions to ask. How do United stop Arsenal getting in and around how they play? I think it's just the way I set it up.
It's like anything. I want to see Skinner play in the first 20 minutes like he actually wants to win the game. What I worry is going to happen is that he's going to park the bus again like he did against Chelsea in the first 20, 30 minutes. And I think, we need to go into these places and shock them. If Arsenal go 1-0 up or 2-0 up, the crowd's going to rock, even though it's Arsenal compared to us. I always say we need that first goal. And if we're stronger, it's easier to defend the lead than to obviously, get one back and sort of, overturn a lead, isn't it? And I think going into Arsenal, you have to, it's about speed. It's about making them forget that they're top of the league, which is quite hard. I'm not saying that's an easy thing to do. It's to make them feel a bit ring rusty, suddenly remember the fact that they just got off a plane a few days ago, even though we did as well. And obviously it's going to take a while. Every member, a lot of like Arsenal have a lot of players that are currently in different squads, like we have as well. International duty, they've got their heads full of insert national team manager here. Like our England players will have Serena Weigman ball ahead, and they've got to switch it very quickly and remember how to play Jonas ball for Arsenal, or unfortunately Skinner ball for United.
I don't know what's worse.
And if you take advantage of that first 20 minutes of remembering what t-shirt I'm wearing, what top I'm wearing, you could have them on the back foot. You'd quiet the crowd, would make a load of a noise. I'm an advocate of smash and grab in the first 10, 15, but Skinner isn't. Skinner's like a, TikTok slow, let's just take it easy, kind of conservative, try and walk it in. And I think we need to change it up against these better teams.
Mm-hmm. Next question. Do you think I don't know if I can't remember who this is about. This was about Boisa?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, it's just a weird one. I mean, I go back to what I was saying previously on other pods. I've said it constantly about different players as well. The best managers don't have favourites. Or, well, maybe more specifically, probably because everybody's human, the best managers do have favourites, but they don't show who their favourites are.
Skinner does.
Yeah. Short of like hiring a jet for someone to do loop the loop with the stuff at the back where that says Zellum on it. It's or like anybody from Birmingham. Like it's obvious what Skinner's favourites are, and it's such a weird. It must be such a weird situation. Because if you're trying to get that spot, you just want a fair crack at the whip. And if you think that Skinner's going to look at me, if I was Vilda, look at me versus Zellum, and automatically always going to pick Zellum, that knocks out one of two in the favourite 4-2-3-1 position. That knocks out one of only two places.
It was about Paris.
Oh, okay, just bring the question up again then.
Do you think she's been too harshly judged harshly by the manager compared to the other? I actually disagree with Paris because I think Paris is getting used. I
I
think
think
Skinner
Skinner's
seems
walking
to
around.
like her.
Yeah, Skinner's walking around going, I can pick players. Look at me. I've done
And
well.
I actually
Yeah.
think the thing is, I actually think she was judged too harshly by the fans, not
Yeah.
by
Oh,
the
yeah. Me
squad.
included.
And
Yeah, me included. I mean, to be
I
fair,
was.
if you care, because she joined United and went, I want to play at Anfield one day. Like, it was a bit of a bad idea, what she did. But I think she's come to love the team and to love the fans, and I don't know if it's been picked up on TV, but there's a game that Isabel, one of the younger fans, has done where she got everybody's middle names, basically the squad's middle names. Now, Nikita Paris's middle name is Josephine, and
I was at this game against Villa.
yeah, and now apparently a couple of things really. Number one, she was like, "How the hell do you guys know what middle name is?" Well, it's called Wikipedia. That's why. That's why. Right. But also the thing is about it was, apparently the only person who calls her Josephine is her mother when she's in trouble. So she's playing against Villa, and we just all shouted out Josephine, and then we, instead of singing Kia Paris, you're the love of my life, we've gone Josephine in Paris and stuff like that.
Come on, Josephine.
Yeah, but she gets it, and I think she ran over after the game and said, "What do you guys know?
How do you know the middle name?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like, so I think she has warmed herself to United players, which is very hard to do being Scouse and also being a Liverpool fan. But she has warmed herself. By the way, anyone wants to know what middle names are, I know them all now, near enough. Until people got wise of Isabel's game, so they started saying I don't have one when she asked about middle names. But yeah, put it this way: if I'm going to give Mark his full name, it's Mark Daniel Skinner and Martin Peter Ho to
I don't know which one's worse.
To give them their full title.
I don't know what's worse. Good evening to I Like Coffee. I hope you are well. And hello there to Andrew. I hope you are well as well. I Like Coffee's got the 2-0 win against Arsenal and 2-2 score. We'll do the final question from Lanzel, then we'll wrap up.
Sure.
Would you take Beth England, and does she start if there's a low plus options a buy? I would take Beth England. She, even though she didn't play in the World Cup, she's still got winning mentality of what we don't really have in that squad right now. Of course, we've got players who's won some trophies now, but she's won everything that you could win in the league. She's won the league. She's won the FA Cup. She's won the County Cup. She's been in the Champions League final. And that's just that one club, and that's something that you can't really say about many players. And on top of that, even though she didn't produce a minute, she still got a Euro medal. So,
I'm laughing because that is a really good point, and it's definitely a view. But my initial reaction to what you said, I wouldn't take her.
Why is that?
And the reason why I wouldn't take her, she's like, I don't know where these analogies are coming from. Some of them work, some of them don't, so bear with me. But like, she's like when you buy something in the supermarket and you're like, I'll have that for dinner one day. And eventually you get around to it, you go, oh crap, it's out of date. She's been on the bench for so long. There must be a reason why she's seen as a super sub by Chelsea, why she doesn't really play that much for England. And I don't know. Now, you're right. She could flourish.
But someone who wasn't... You look at Hannah Blundell. She's not a starting 11 player for Chelsea. She wasn't, but she's a starting 11 player for us.
Well, that's interesting. I agree. And that's what I mean. She could one or two ways. She could be released suddenly. She becomes a starting 11 player for us, gets a new lease of life, and released. But I just don't know. She matches the older profile that Skinner thinks she wants to go for now. The slightly older. I don't know how old she is. Late 20s, maybe. Maybe she's been around forever, so I don't think she's as old as I think she is.
Beth England, she is 28, so she actually currently is in a prime.
Yeah.
She can play
Yeah.
as a midfielder as well as a forward player. She's been at Chelsea for a numerous of years. She scored 44 goals in 96. So if you obviously take that away, I'm getting my calculator up here. If you was to, of course, 96 divided by 44, she's averaging out a goal every 2 games, and that's what you want in a striker, really.
And to be fair, what I find interesting about Beth England is she's done a very rare thing in the women's game, probably in the men's as well. When you're not a very young player, she went on loan. She went on loan to Liverpool, and she came back and stayed at her home club. She wasn't sold, and
And she
obviously
was very good. She had 16 appearances at Liverpool, scoring 10 goals. She was also on loan at Sheffield Wednesday when she was at a former club at Doncaster Rover Bells.
Oh, okay. I know why. I found out recently why they're called bells. It's quite funny. I can give you that anecdote at some point. But that's interesting. I mean, maybe I'll throw a different question out. I know we're doing a proper marathon tonight, but do you think we'll see Kirsty Hansen again when at the end of the year when she comes back from her home club? Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
I think, especially after the social media incident with the family, what was said after the game when we drew against Aston Villa last season, I think after that there was a final nail in that coffin, and it really said a lot of when Skinner would rather play Russo on the wing than play a natural winger on the wing.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Was it Dalton dropped back as well when somebody was injured? Or was it?
Yeah, Dalton played as a fullback.
Yeah. No, definitely. But yeah, again, interesting about that. It's interesting, but we'll find out what happens. I mean, we're gonna have a lot of answers January, and obviously this weekend, the answers hopefully will come again against Arsenal as well.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. We'll leave it here for tonight. We have had a lot covered. Thank you so much, Andy, for coming on. As well as your score prediction, would you like to also shout your socials?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think people might know it by now, but it's at AJ_87. It is my personal Twitter feed, so it's not just got football on there, but I do obviously mention a lot of Man United content on there and women's football in general. Score predictions. Oh, it's a heart and head scenario. And you came to me first, so that's interesting. Depends on which Skinner turns up, but I can't caveat it that way. I'm leaning towards 1-0, but then I don't think we're strong enough to keep that lead. So 2-1 to United. With us scoring 2 and them getting 1 back and me getting grey hair towards the end of the game.
I had the same scoreline. I had 2-1 as well. I feel a bit more confident compared to last season. If this was last season, I would have gone for a draw.
Do you think the Emirates factor, though, Boreham Wood's tiny, and we're now playing 30-odd thousand at Emirates?
The players should be used to playing on men's pitches from the Euros.
Yeah.
They should be used to the nets. They should be used to the pitches because they played at Old Trafford. They've played at Brighton. They've played at Sheffield United. They've played at Rotherham. They played on a load of different pitches. So realistically, I don't think it's too much of an issue.
And obviously, it depends on the ref. We don't know. The name probably normally is released on a Monday. We don't know who it is. Honourable mention now, because you made me remember about Cheryl Foster for Chelsea. I mean, that was terrible. You know, I think basically she had a very clear view, to be fair, as a referee. You have to commit GBH to get a yellow, and you have to murder somebody to get a red. That's the way she referees games. And things got very, very physical very, very quickly. I don't know who's. Are we on Sky? Oh, I dreamt that as a BBC.
We're on Sky.
We're on BBC. I remember now. We're on BBC.
We're on Sky. Late kickoff Sky.
Oh, was it late kickoff? It get moved, right? I hope it's going to be a better ref. The only one that I have any kind of confidence in is Rebecca Welsh. But is she being used? I know some of them think women's ref have gone to the men's Euros. I don't know if men's World Cup. but I don't know if that's just the French one is like really top. But McCall, Lansel there jumping in finally saying McCabe red card incoming. Doubt it because she's not a United player. That's a problem. But yeah, we'll see about the ref as well.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Thank you, Vincent and Anthony, as well, for coming in the chat. It means a lot. And thank you, Andy, for coming on. It's been a great show. We'll see you very soon. Hit that like button and subscribe button. Fingers crossed, 3 points before we get to Old Trafford. But take care. Bye bye.